Okay, so the first thing that I want to do before we get started arranging these faux florals is to quickly run through the pots and the vases that I'm going to be using for this DIY project. First up is this one from Hobby Lobby. The size of this is more on the smaller end when looking at like all of my vases and pots collectively. But since I am going to be sticking with a more neutral color palette as well as like very toned down patterns, if any patterns at all, I did want a pretty big variety when it came to the size and the shapes. It's a cream colored vase with a darker brown edging, and there you can see a little bit more up close the detail that this vase has. Not much detail at all, but it's just enough. You could find this one at Hobby Lobby for $11.99 original. So I purchased it on one of those sale weeks and paid $6 for this pot. Here is my next pot, and this one also came from Hobby Lobby. This one is a more brighter white color, and then it also has gray accents, which again give it a vintagey, distressed look. Here you can see a little bit more of the distressing up close. So the original price on this one was $29.99, but again, I got it during one of those sale weeks, so I paid $15. Moving right along, I have this wicker pot, again from Hobby Lobby. I believe I talked about this one in a home decor haul, but I love the dual tones of this one as well as those tassels on the top there. And then once I line all of these pots up together, you guys will see how they kind of just go together really easily, even though they are all different. This one does not have a tag on it anymore, but this was purchased from Hobby Lobby. I bought it for $12. I don't think this one goes on sale. At least not any of the weeks that I've been there have I seen this on sale. Another great feature about this one is that it has that plastic lining inside of it. All right, next up, I kind of had to play with the lighting on the camera to get a pretty accurate description of how this vase looks, but I did mention this vase and share its details with you guys in my most recent home decor haul. So this one I found and purchased from HomeGoods, and this was a little bit more on the pricey end, especially since HomeGoods doesn't run those weekly sales like Hobby Lobby. So I paid $30 for this one, but I thought that the craftsmanship of this was just beautiful and it looked very unique to me. I love the very light blue, almost gray accents. And here is a close-up of the details. And here we have my next vase, and this came from HomeGoods. This is another one that I just talked about in my most recent home decor haul. It was $25, and you guys can see that dual tone that I mentioned with that wicker basket. This one is gray on the top and white on the bottom. You can kind of see how those two colors transition right in the middle there. I think that this one will serve as a great like floor vase. Just because of its size and just how heavy it is. It's not something that I think I really would put on like a table or a shelf, but I think it will look really nice with some long stemmed floral. There you can see that transition that I was talking about, as well as the colors a little bit more. And then here we have the smallest of the baskets, pots, vases. This one came from Michael's, and I believe they were having a 40% off sale once I purchased this. I think this only came out to be like $2 or $3. I just thought that it was so cute. And while I am typically trying to stick with things that are larger in size, this one I just wanted to add in the mix just because it is so tiny, so it definitely stands out and is very different than any of the other ones. Arrangements that are like this size, they're just so easy to do pretty much anything with. Those larger ones are very beautiful and grand, but you definitely have to think about where they're going to go and make sure that they're going to kind of fit within the space and the other existing decor that is in that space. And arrangements of this smaller size are just very easy to pick up and place from room to room or spot to spot. I love the shade of brown that this is in. It looks very weathered and worn. Here is a quick up close of this one. All right, and then this one I know I talked about in the home decor haul, but this is a vintage crock. And this is a 3-gallon crock, as you can see by the number that's right in front of there. This I purchased off of Facebook Marketplace, and I am obsessed with this. I love knowing that there is history behind this piece. I just turned it around there to show you guys. It's definitely not in the best condition. It has some cracks in it, but to me, that just gives it character and texture, and you can totally see that it is vintage and authentic. I'm really excited to style this with different types of floral throughout each season. If you are interested in finding vintage pieces or crocks like this, definitely check out your Facebook Marketplace or your Facebook garage sales. You can find a lot of them on there. All right, and then my last pot or vase or base for these floral arrangements is this one. And this is something that I've had for a few years now. If you guys have been part of my channel for some time now, you probably can recognize this. I used to stick a lot of faux flowers at the bottom of this, and I was very close to trying to sell this or get rid of it, but I decided to give it a new life and try out something different. I decided to pop out the glass that was up here and then behind here, and then I also took out the glass that was in the back here. So I left the glass in front and on the sides. I may decide to take those glass pieces out as well. So you will see my vision for this shortly at the end of this video. I am really excited to play around with this and see what I can do with it other than what I've done with it in the past. Okay, so here's the collection as a whole. Hopefully you guys can see what I mean when I say that they all go together, even though they are all different. So now that I've shown you guys the pots and vases and baskets that I'll be using for this, let's get started with the floral and just how all of these are going to come together. Okay, so here's the first set of floral that I have. This is all of the stuff that I purchased for this project, so it's all brand new. I still have the tags and everything. The majority of this pile all came from Michael's. So in this collection, I have some eucalyptus, some lamb's ear, olive branches, some faux peonies. I have some like cacti stems, a pretty big selection, but again, they all go together really well, I think. And then over here is all of the floral that I decided to keep. I sold a huge quantity of the floral that I previously had, and so this is the keep pile. As you can see, there is definitely a lot more color when it comes to this pile, and I think a lot of them will be nice to use as like a filler even. And I'm also guessing that with this pile, I won't need this many, but I do like purchasing more than what I need for projects, just so that I don't have to stop like mid-project. I always stock up on stems, especially when Michael's is running their 50% off sales. And then this little pile is just some of my like behind the scenes type of items. These are going to kind of serve as the base of the vases and pots, and so you can see I have some plastic bags here. So I pretty much just use these plastic bags to fill the bottoms, just so that I don't have to have like pounds and pounds of these rocks. It's just a lot easier to fill the bottoms that don't get seen with these plastic bags. Plus, I also like to wrap the plastic bags around the bottom of the stems, and doing that just makes it a little bit more easier for the stems to stand straight up. Plastic bag just holds the stems in place a little bit better, and like I said, it just adds like a filler to the bottom. I have some rocks that I took from the outside. Instead of adding rocks like I am going to be, you could also of course add actual soil, or you could pick up a bunch of like moss from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Joann Fabrics, any craft store really. So these rocks will just be filling up the top thin layer of the pot, the only part that will get seen. I did stick these in bleach just to give them a very good deep clean and to kind of brighten them up a little bit. They were a little bit more on the dirty side when I brought these in, but I let them sit in a bleach solution for 24 hours, so these are nice and ready to go. And then of course I have a set of string lights here, but definitely use these plastic bags or like old beat up towels just as a base, just so that you don't have to spend your money on stuff that isn't even going to be seen. Of course, not every pot or vase will even need the bags or the rocks, just the ones that are wider, like this one, this one, this one, this one, probably that one, but this one won't need anything, as well as this. So that is definitely something that you might want to think about when purchasing or selecting your pots and vases, just how you're going to fill them, if you will need to fill them with a filler. And then another thing that I suggest when putting an arrangement together is purchase your pot first and think about what kind of look you're going for when it comes to the arrangement that will go inside. So just looking at all of these pots and vases, I can already tell what the main base of the arrangement will be. Whether they will be filled with like faux lamb's ear, faux eucalyptus. I definitely like doing a nice contrast between the color of the pot and the type of stem that I'm going to be using. So these like lighter colored pots, the white ones, I want to add something that is a little bit darker in color. And then these two darker pots on the end, and then this gray and white one right over here. These ones I think would look better with a lighter floral arrangement, such as lamb's ear. So I'm going to get started now, one pot at a time. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy this video, and let's get started arranging some floral. Alright, so I'm going to get started with this vase, and like I said, since it's got like a smaller opening on the top, I do not need to add any filler at the bottom or any rocks at the top. Even though this base like widens out, the top being smaller will just bunch up all of the floral and hold them in nice and tight. So for this first arrangement here, I'm going to be reusing this set of light up branches. This is another thing that was very close to being out the door. I had these listed on my Facebook Marketplace page, and at the last minute, I decided to keep these and reuse these. I really do like these because they are a darker color, so they're a little bit more like incognito. I also like these because the branches are bendable, and so I can kind of work them in to the arrangement in a way where they're not super visible. And I think that having one arrangement with these lights will just be a really fun twist. This is a plug-in set, so I will have to be conscious about the cord here. I wanted to put these ones in here first just so that I can then cover them up, cover the branches up with the floral that I'm going to be using and placing in there. Since I am going to be trying to cover these branches up, I am going to use some thicker pieces of floral, so I'm going to just start sticking these eucalyptus stems right in there. And so these are definitely going to be my base for this arrangement. I also like using two different stems of the same like plant, just because it gives some color variation, and I think that just makes the whole arrangement look more authentic. For now, I'm trying to just go in the natural way that the branches fell and just place the eucalyptus stems to kind of cover them. And then I'm also going to go in with some lamb's ear to add a little bit more variation. And then again, add a lighter color to the dark color palette of the eucalyptus. Spring season in mind, I'm going to go in with this bouquet of about a dozen roses and then just place these randomly throughout the existing stems. I do have a variation of like a cream colored rose as well as a really light blush pink rose. So nothing too colorful, but this will definitely read a lot more like spring and summer once these are added. Is the finished product. I absolutely love how this first one turned out. I'm going to ask you guys at the end of this video which one of these arrangements that I'm putting together is your favorite, but I really love this. I think that it's very neutral in the color, but it's also very in season because of those roses. And then once the spring and summertime are over, I will be able to just pick these out. It'll just be really easy to change up the look of this. Now I'm going to plug this in and see how it turned out with those lights. All right, so there you guys have the first one. I love it with the light up branches, and I am so happy that I didn't end up selling these. They look a lot different than how I used to use them, but that's what I love about this whole thing. I'm going to get started working on this arrangement and this pot. This one's not very big at all. It's not very deep either. I think I should be good with just this one large plastic bag to fill the base of this. And for this pot, I am going to be using this set of two faux olive branches that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. If you're like me and you've looked into purchasing like pre-made olive branch arrangements, you would definitely know that they can be super pricey buying them pre-made. But all I'm going to be doing for this is taking the ends of the stems here and then taking my large Hobby Lobby bag and just wrapping these stems right at the bottom. I am going to push this down so that it's a little bit more thick at the base. And you don't want to wrap them too tight because you want the width of the bag to kind of help you out in keeping the arrangement straight and in place. I'm going to just shove them in there, push the bag down into there a little bit more, spread out the branches, and then I actually may need another small bag. I'm going to stuff more bags down in there and make sure that you get them like around the stems so that they don't get pushed to one side. I'm going to worry about arranging the top part of the branches once I have the base nice and secured, but now that they are like securely in there, I'm going to fill this top layer with those rocks that I pulled out from our backyard. Now that the base of this is all secured and finished, I'm just going to work on arranging the stems a little bit. We have it, the final product. I like this one a lot as well, and to me this looks very similar to the ones that I've seen in stores. So this is definitely a much more budget-friendly, cost-effective way of achieving this faux olive branch arrangement look. And I'm really happy with it. I think that the darker leaves of the olive branches really contrast nicely with this cream-colored vase. And I also like how the brown edging kind of ties in to these little faux olives. Here is the final view for arrangement number 2. Arrangement number 3. So for this little mini basket, I purchased these little mini stems. I think I have 4 of them in here from Hobby Lobby, and they're just a really nice pale green. I thought that the soft green would pair up nicely with this nice weathered brown look that this basket has. See, I did have to do a little bit more arranging with these stems for whatever reason, probably because they are bunched up with that bag. So I did want to kind of separate the stems a little bit more. I think that this one would be perfect for a bathroom or a little tiny like floating shelf. I think this would look really cute on as well. Here is the final product for arrangement number 3. So here's going to be my 4th arrangement. And then inside of there, I'm going to be using this bundle of dried up real eucalyptus stems that I purchased from Joann Fabrics. That I really love how this looks just as it is. I think the contrast is just beautiful. So I could totally leave this as is and think that it's a really beautiful and stunning arrangement. But I am going to add these 2 stems in here. I picked these up from Michael's. I love the soft pale colors that these have. So I'm going to stick these in there and see how I like it with the mixture of the 2. And again, if it doesn't work out, I'll just pop these right back out. I'm going to start out by just really separating these branches just to give this stem a lot more like width. I don't want to stick it right in front here. I want it to look more like part of the entire arrangement. So I'm going to just stick this in the center here. That way it kind of looks like the stems are coming a little bit more out this way as well as this way, even though the main stem is right in the center. kind of like this look of the two types of stems and leaves combined. So these three arrangements are going to be the only non-flower arrangements that I have going forward. All right, so moving on, I'm going to be using my 3-gallon crock for this one. And as you can see, the opening on this is quite large, as well as the entire body. So this is definitely going to require quite a few stems to give it a really nice and full look. I'm going to stuff these in here so that this part kind of surrounds the base, if that makes sense, instead of doing it opposite, which would just create a lot of height and depth going upwards. I want to kind of just make the center of this a little bit more of a tighter squeeze once I put those stems in there. There you can see the inside of this. Just because there are so many layers of this, I can really easily stick the stems pretty much throughout this and have them look separated, but still have that security using these layers. I always want to start off with my base first and what is going to be the main part of the arrangement. And then once these are put in, that's when I'll go in with the floral and add pops of flowers throughout the arrangement. So my dried up eucalyptus is now all included into the crock. Now I'm going to be taking this bundle of eucalyptus that I picked up from Michael's. This one definitely has a much more pale color than these real ones from Joann Fabrics. But since all of these stems are stuck in a bundle, currently I'm going to go ahead and take my wire cutters, just separate each of the stems. Fill this arrangement up, I am going to add a bunch of these really beautiful soft pink peonies that I picked up from Michael's. I want this arrangement to be super flowy. I want it to have a lot of movement. Is complete and I am completely obsessed with it. I love how this turned out. I love how wild it looks. All right, so here's where this crock is usually set and where it's been ever since I picked it up. And here's how that arrangement is looking. Now that I have placed it in its normal spot in our home, I am not sure if I love it as much as I did. I'm just kind of wondering if it's a little bit too tall in the length and the width of it. So I may go back and trim all of these stems and just bring it down in size just a bit. So while I decide on that crock and what I want to do, I'm going to get to working on this basket pot. For this, I think I will do something a little bit different, and that is just add mainly floral. Here is arrangement number 6, all completed. I really love this one. It's super spring and summer and exactly what I was going for. I wasn't sure if I was going to like all of the color, but I really am happy with this one. I think it looks super cute in that basket. Time being, here is what I have come up with for arrangement number 7. Okay, so I did decide to bring this arrangement back over and work on it a little bit more, even though the wildness aspect of it is something that I really do love. I'm just not sure if it's something that I will love for a long period of time. And so I figured that since this isn't something that I am like obsessed with, I did want to pull this back over and just show how you can get a couple different looks using pretty much the same items. So I am going to cut back on the length of this, just shorten down all of the stems. I'm also going to take out a few stems of the eucalyptus and use them in a different spot, and then I'm also going to add some faux lamb's ear just to soften up the color palette a little bit as well. Keep this first look in mind and let's get started just rearranging this one a little bit. Here is, I think, my final product of this arrangement. I do like it a lot more. I think it looks a lot more full just because it's kind of more together instead of going out in a ton of different ways. There's still a lot of movement that this arrangement has, which is something that I was definitely going for. And even though I did add in those 3 stems of faux lamb's ear, which I think gives it a really nice soft touch, I am left with all of this extra. All of this was a part of the original arrangement. So I have a little bit left over now that I get to do something else with, which I'm really happy about. And to me, I just think it looks a little bit more contained and put together nicer. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys prefer this arrangement or the arrangement that I had before touching this? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. And also, I did want to let you guys know that I did wait a few days before deciding to rearrange this. One, because I had to pick up these lamb's ear stems, and then number 2 is because I just wanted to give myself some time to see if I was going to be able to get used to that first arrangement. Okay, and then really quick, this is not a basket or an arrangement that I was planning on sharing, but since I did have those extra stems, this is what I was able to use those extra stems for. So I did use 2 of these lamb's ears that I just picked up, but everything else was from the crack arrangement. One is a hanging basket that I purchased from Target. So I think this is my last arrangement to share with you guys. And as of now, I think I'm going to leave this open. So I'm going to style it as if it is going to be left open. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I am going to be putting a set of string lights in here. Here is the set I'm going to be using. It's a rather small set. I believe this is a twinkling set too. So the colors will like twinkle on and off, which I think is a really nice and fun effect. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just place these in here and get this cord to come out in the back and just leave some room for it to get plugged in. The next thing, I'm just going to arrange these, but just kind of evenly distribute them. And then I'm going to take a thin layer of those little stones or rocks that I shared with you guys earlier and just gently lay them on top of the lights. I do want to add a level of the rocks just to give the stems something to kind of be held in with. And then I also want to hide the cords and the lights just a little bit. I did add more rocks right in the front here just to give it the illusion that there's more rocks in the back, but since the stems are going to kind of take up the back, I don't think they're going to be seen as much. So now that the rocks are placed in here, I'm going to add my stems since that is the base of this arrangement, and then I'll go in and add my floral. I do want this to be another really fun, bright pop for the spring. All right, and I don't have a ton, but I do have a few scraps left over from that crock. Just these little pieces that I cracked off to shorten that arrangement. So I'm definitely not going to let these be wasted. I'm just going to stick them at the bottom. Okay, so my stems are in, my rocks, my lights. Now I'm just gonna go in with a bunch of coral flowers and kind of spruce this up for spring. So for this, I'm sticking with a corally peachy color scheme, and I do have quite a few different like faux flowers included in this bundle, but for the most part they kind of all go together, and these are all flowers that I had in the past that were used for like many different small arrangements. Now I'm just kind of trying to create a large arrangement with all of these. I had to adjust the lighting on my camera just so that you could see these colors a little bit better, but here is the final product. I really like how this one turned out. This is definitely a totally different way than I had used this piece in the past. I'm going to plug in those string lights now and just see how it looks with those lights on. All right, so there you guys have it. Here is how this all looks and came together. I love it with the lights on. Here you can see how they glisten and twinkle. But I just think that having them hidden below the rocks and below all of the stems just gives it a really natural but unique little twist on this arrangement. Here are all of my arrangements all clustered together. I absolutely love each and every one of these. They are all so different, but they definitely go together really nicely, and I'm really excited to use these in my home this spring and summer season. And you'll have to wait and see my decorate with me for the spring to see where all of these arrangements end up, because all of them will be included in that video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed creating this one. All of these looks are super easy to achieve, and so I suggest that if you're not familiar working with faux flowers, definitely give it a try and see what you can create. If you do recreate any of these looks, please make sure to tag me on Instagram. My Instagram name can be found in the description box of this video. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please make sure to subscribe. Join my YouTube family. I would love to have you part of my YouTube journey. Also, if you could give this video a big thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. It will just help my channel grow and let me know what kind of videos you guys enjoy and what kind of videos you want to see more of from myself and my channel. My last request for you guys is to let me know which of these arrangements was your favorite. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see all of you in my next video. So until then, take care. Bye.